Hello, Magic the Gathering players on YouTube. This is Anditesh Orno. Today I'm going to be talking about Stoneforge Mystic and my thoughts and ideas if Stoneforge Mystic was released into Modern, was unbanned, and what it would do for the Modern format. Of course, there might be some really strong plays in games, but I decided to compile some cards together in a random order of what they were brought in for, and show that these cards are the a lot of the ones that'll be most used, or will probably pick up some use in Modern between budget and non-budget friendly decks, even though Stoneforge Mystic will probably go up in price unless they bring it out in the newest Modern Masters. So yeah, let's begin. So obviously Stoneforge Mystic, 2 mana, 1/2, enters battlefield, searches your library for an equipment card, reveal it, and then you can pay 2 to tap and put the equipment from your hand onto the battlefield. That's always great. Legacy loves this card. A lot of people play this card for Umezawa's Jete, and another couple of other equipment here and there, but mostly it's just Umezawa's Jete. Like, it basically gives you a 5th or maybe a 6th. If you have a playset of these, a 5th or a 6th Umezawa's Jete or Umezawa's and then another equipment, so that you can get them down and start hitting. So let's go ahead and start going through the list. First 5 would be the swords. These are obviously given. Here and there you do see these pop up here and there in some modern decks, but it would probably increase the use of these swords. Probably not all of them, but most of them. So, and also when I found this picture online, I thought it was cool. So props to whoever actually made the artwork on these. I love full art artwork, or like this type of artwork for Magic. So the next batch, Batterskull. This is the one I was thinking of. I couldn't think of, so I said others. But Batterskull is also used in Legacy a bunch, and Modern would pick up more use of this. So yeah, hopefully we might have the next Modern Masters be equipment themed with Core Firewalker, or I'm sorry, Stoneforge Mystic unbanned. So Batterskull, it's an obvious given. It's a living weapon, and Stoneforge Mystic would also make quite a few other living weapons equipment a little more viable if you want to go more budget friendly. Of course, Stoneforge Mystic, like I said, will be pretty expensive, but we'll see how that goes. Armament Master, other core creatures. Some of the creatures in this deck are core, except for like Shram and a few others. But like this is a core. A lot of the core creatures actually had like equipment themes, so a few of those would actually ring true to this. So you can start equipping these guys up. World Slayer. If someone wants to try to build a wacky World Slayer deck, Saffron Olive, I'm looking at you. And maybe if this comes out, my Rogue Deck builder might pick it up too. I don't know. But for the most part, like Saffron Olive, here you go, another World Slayer. And if they're trying to make a World Slayer deck, the Core Firewall or Stoneforge Mystic, I don't know why I keep getting it mixed up, but Stoneforge Mystic will be an optimal tutor. Unscythed Killer of Kings. Weirdly enough, this one is a very viable target. It's not like Sword strong, Batterskull strong, Jete strong, even though Jete is not modern. But with its ability to throw it out onto the battlefield, Unscythed Killer of Kings is a very viable equipment because you can throw it out with core Stoneforge Mystic, and there you go. You have a black, red, and blue equipment. It only takes 2 to equip, and then whenever equipped creature deals combat damage, or whenever a creature dealt damage by a equipped creature this turn dies, exile that card, and then you put the 2/2. Then you create a 2/2 zombie, so you can build your army that way. But for the most part, this one wouldn't really be truly a good target because normally you can't cast it except unless you have other cards that throw equipment into play. Nico T. This one's an interesting one. If you actually have a deck like a red-white deck and you throw Nico T on a creature that taps to deal damage to a creature, as long as Nico T sits on the battlefield, all you have to do is keep tapping down. Tapping, dealing damage, and keeping tap that creature, and it doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So you can shut down an army deck. An insane token deck if it's, stronger tokens because of enchantment. So, but again, this is not like a viable, you know, it'd be more of like against odds style deck, not, here you go. This wouldn't really be used as much, but it's a possibility. Moon Silver Spear. Hey, again, this is more of budget friendly, but at the same time, might actually pick up use because you tutor one of these, you equip it, and you swing with it, you're set. You are set to go. And you start making an army yourself. So maybe a one of here. So maybe Stoneforge Mystic based decks might actually have a ton of one of targets, one of tutors, and we might actually see that. And maybe the decks might be white blue because you got a couple equipment that costs either 1, a 3, or 6 or greater. And Stoneforge Mystic is a fueling engine that would be able to just keep throwing out equipment. And if you actually make it living end, or a living, not living end, I'm sorry, so bad of me, living weapon style deck, then another card you want, the next card that would be very viable for that is Lightning Greaves, because you go turn 2 Lightning Greaves, turn 3 Stoneforge Mystic, equip it up so that every turn you're throwing out a living weapon creature that, like, say, maybe Batterskull. You're starting to throw out Batterskulls left and right. And then, you know, you're controlling the game that way. So living weapons decks would really benefit with Lightning Greaves. And I'm surprised. Maybe budget-friendly decks, but I'm surprised. A 2 mana, 0 to equip, haste and shroud. So anything that costs 3 or greater, or like a 3 mana costing creature, a 4 mana costing creature, 5 mana costing creature, and utility creatures, etc. Lightning Greaves, I would think they would be used more often in Modern, but we don't see that. And it's kind of crazy. Just imagine equipping this onto a Tarmogoyf. And your Tarmogoyf's a 5/6. Well, you can't kill my Tarmogoyf now. You have to kill another card before you can kill it. So, yeah, it is a very viable option. I'm just surprised it's not being used much in Modern. I'm sure there's some cards that, you know, maybe 2 of here and there on some decks might actually, you know, use it. It protects a ton of creatures. So the next one is Godsend. It's not like the best of the best. The swords are still way better. But hey, it's just a random equipment that may or may not see possibility play. Whenever a creature blocks or becomes blocked by one or more creatures, you may exile one of those creatures. So if you attack and they block, you're exiling that creature if they're only blocking with 1. So it makes it, you know, blocking or being blocked very challenging. So it's a possibility. And then opponents can't cast spells with the same of cards exiled with Godsend. So you exile a Tarmogoyf and they draw their next Tarmogoyf, and that was like their top decking. Well, that's just a useless card because now they can't cast it. So it might have some viable options, but I highly doubt it. It's just a utility tool if someone wants to make, like, choose like 5 to 6 different equipments and this one piece one of them. That's up to them. And it could be like one of those mixture ones that throws some decks off. Of course, if equipment decks come out more, this might actually be a viable option to exiling other equipped creatures' equipment. Or equipped creatures on the opponent's side of the field. Elbrus, the Binding Blade, especially when it flips into the 13/13 Demon. I don't have a picture of that, but this specific equipment here is a great option, especially since you can cheat it out on turn 3 and equip it to, like, if you have a 1-drop already out on the field, you equip it to that, attack, and if you're able to deal the damage, you get a 13/13 right there. So Elbrus actually might be a viable increase in use, but maybe as a 1-of in decks. 1-of, maybe 2-of, to give you a chance to get a 13/13 demon. Stonehewer Giant. This one won't be used much. But again, if equipment decks, you know, start to increase because of Stoneforge Mystic, maybe a 1-of him wouldn't be too bad. Because you search your library and put the equipment onto the battlefield. That's different. That's like double core fire Stoneforge Mystic, which is why it costs more. You turn 5, you equip it with lightning greaves, and then you're set to throw some creatures out to equip with. Or, I mean, throw some equipment out to equip creatures. Shram is still a really good card. He's used in all those equipment storm decks that are in Modern now. But I feel like, of course, Stoneforge Mystic, I will admit, would actually probably increase these decks a little bit. But my hope is to see an actual equip. You get a mono-white equipment deck that runs a lot of, equipment to equip to your mono-white creatures. Your mono-white and artifact creatures. That's where I'm going with. But this is great. It allows you to draw cards, and if you do a multicolor deck, Shram actually works really well in that spot. Steel Shaper's Gift is another way to tutor equipment. This could be used more often in some decks if you need. Of course, right now you could technically make a mono white, like a white weenie deck. Throw a couple of these in, a couple of like some of the swords in, and you at least got an optional way to throw out some swords. So yeah. Sigarda's Aid obviously is a given. Make it to where equipment spells are flash. And then the equipment enters the battlefield under your control. You may attach it immediately. Oh, that would be so good in a creature equipment deck. So good. I'm surprised. Actually, this wouldn't be too bad in a the current Storm base. I don't know if I haven't seen the current Storm strategy recently, but having this in there, I don't see a problem with it. Turn 1, you play this, and then turn 2, you play your Shram, or the other one, which is Pure Steel Paladin. Turn 2, you play that. Then you just, at the end of their turn, you're flashing in all your equipment, drawing some cards so that on your turn, you can bounce them back in and do that on their turn instead of your turn at times. I don't know if that would change anything or not, but the fact is you'd be Sigarda's aiding a lot of equipment. They would automatically, well, you may attach them to a creature, so you just start attaching them to Pure Steel Paladin, so it makes its toughness higher. He could tap for the mana with the mana equipment that costs 0 and 1 to equip. It would automatically equip, so you might be able to tap him to add 4 mana. I think that's how it would work. I'm not sure. But still, just having that option of, the equipment coming out, boom, there you go. But still, in a normal mono-white equipment deck, mono-white weenie, because it'll definitely be like a few Shram, Pure Steel Paladin, Stoneforge Mystic, maybe this guy, when there's a battlefield, attaching equipment to a creature you control. Like I said, this is going to be like a lot of, well, other than Pure Steel Paladin and Shram, wherever he's at, yeah. A lot of the other creatures are core, so the first creature I showed you actually that buffs core would be able to buff some of these guys. But core outfitter, one of the second to last slides I have is Argentum armor. Obviously this is a really given one, especially if you throw it out on the, I want to see something. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control. Oh, this works really well with Stoneforge Mystic. So, what if you want to attack with, like you have a couple of creatures out. Sorry, you got to spoil at the end, but what if you get a lot of creatures out? You throw out, use Stoneforge Mystic, throw this out, but if you have Sigarda's Aid, Sigarda's Aid out, you can immediately attach it to a creature, attack, and there you go. So I will say this would be a really very, very usable equipment. This one might be a 3 or 4 of in some decks, especially when you get 2 triggers of Argentum armor, throwing them out there each turn. So there is a possibility that, and there's still cards that would shut down these strategies. There's the equipment that shuts down the equip cost, but the fact is, I will admit there are some cards in here that kind of counteract that, so that makes it a little more even. So yeah, you can't equip with mana, but why not just play him? I'll just play core outfitter. Now I take my Argentum armor that I can't equip it onto a creature, get the bonus, and attack. So it still can be shut down in Modern, because Modern does have a ton of artifact removal. But I think it'd be kind of a cool strategy of a deck to just, you know, run a lot of, run a few equipment here and there, run a ton of creatures that work with equipment, and go. And then, of course, after Agenum Armor, you kind of saw it, Shield, the Caldara set, or Cauldra set, man, I mispronounced it. The Cauldra set would be a great add. Some people could actually, you know, do the Cauldra Tron setup where you tutor for Sword and Shield and then Helm, and then you just immediately attach it to one. Then you got your, then you can get your Cauldra creature avatar token out, and then you can start swinging with that. So yeah, that's, you know, that's my thoughts on unbanning Stoneforge Mystic. Stoneforge Mystic is a very viable creature to bring back into Modern. I know I'm going back through it all, but I don't know. I don't see it like game breaking, but at the same time, it would introduce a few number of equipment based strategies into Modern. And well, it just introduced equipment decks into Modern, and then they would just have different equipment for each one. Like some of you might have one of each sword, so that's 5, and maybe there's 3 Cauldras, and that's 8, and you're done. Or maybe you don't want to do the Cauldras, and you want to do the Angel Staff, or, you know, maybe do the Agentum Armor plan. There's multiple different ways you can go about it. And you don't want to go, obviously, over, you know, 5 to 8 equipment, but at least it gives you some different tools. Of course, 4 equipment, I would still say throw in. 2 to 4 equipment would be Lightning Greaves, especially working with this guy. Protects her, so she can just start throwing out equipment left and right onto the battlefield. And if you have Sigarda's 8 out, you're just equipping. So I think it'd be kind of a fun deck. Like, it makes me excited to actually want to just build a casual deck for my friends around equipment strategy. It's like, these are all my little weak equipment creatures, or creatures to equip to, but then you just throw on, you know, throw on the equipments, and you're given +6/+6, indestructible, first strike, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Stoneforge Mystic being unleashed into Modern. Will they do it? I don't know. Worst case scenario, what they might do is remake Stoneforge Mystic in a new version. And it might be costing 3 instead of 2. I still feel like Stoneforge Mystic would be just great in Modern, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Would you like to see Stoneforge Mystic unleashed into Modern? Yeah, what deck strategies and cards that I may have missed? Put them in the comments below so we can get some deck building ideas out there. And then maybe we can help push towards having Wizards release Stoneforge Mystic into Modern. But yeah, again, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I will definitely look into doing more Magic videos, because I'm going to be eventually listing some decks out there that I've been creating just for casual or casual Modern play. So yeah, again, thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.